faith, a way of Good morning. Welcome to Reading the Science of Mind in 1 Year. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the Center for Spiritual Living Common Ground in Central Maryland. We're not in Western Maryland, we're in Central Maryland. I tell you the truth. This morning is April 30th. And so what we do here is we listen to a recording of the selected reading, and we're going by the chart that is in the front of some of the older books established by Reverend Dr. Edward Viljoen to read the Science of Mind in 1 year, and it literally bounces all over the place, putting things together because Ernest writes in circles. And so Edward just did this amazing thing of kind of pulling those together in related ideas. And so we listen to that, and then whatever comes alive in us right now as we listen is what we share about. Nothing is prescriptive, nothing is pre-planned. You're invited to share your perspectives in the chat, and then we take a 5-minute meditative practice to just practice being present, and then we close out with a spiritual mind treatment. So here we go. Reading for April 30th. Science of Mind, A Philosophy of Faith, A Way of Life by Ernest Holmes. Reading from page 395, paragraph 3, through page 397, paragraph 4, using inclusive language. The engine of the subjective mind must be guided. It is neither person, place, nor thing of itself. It is subjective to the desire of people. Consequently, it has for them only the power they decree it to have. Because thought is made of the stuff that forms the universe into definite creation, the law is charged with the power that we give it, no more and no less. It responds by correspondence. It is a mirror and a perfect one. It molds our ideas and beliefs into visible form and casts them back multiplied. It does not know that it is doing this, but it knows how to do it. This is one of the greatest enigmas of the universe. The nature of reality is such that universal mind has unlimited power, but so far as people are concerned, it has only the power which they give it. We give it power when we say, I am weak, sick, or unhappy. It says for us what we first say for ourselves. And since, for countless ages, people have believed that which is not true of reality, our body and environment reflect this limited concept of the universe. This law is a force in nature to be used and brought under conscious control of the spirit of people, which is our conscious mind. Our conscious mind is the consciousness of reality in us. Mind as law is helpless without direction. It has nowhere to go and nothing to do of itself. It must be directed or it will do nothing of permanent worth for people. Mind as law is an abstraction, merely a possibility. We are a concrete knower. We are the consciousness of spirit, individualized, the personality of reality, multiplied. Spiritual human is one with spiritual God. Spirit operates through people as self-knowingness, and this makes people distinct and different from all other creations so far as mentality is concerned. Mind as law is unconscious intelligence and lives only through people. It is ours to command, our servant. It has no desire of its own. People are its desire, will, and purpose. While mind as law is always subjective to our desire, we must not forget that it has infinite intelligence within itself. It is mind in the abstract and in the unformed. It is mind in an unthought state, so to speak. It takes concrete form from desires and mental images impressed upon it. It resides within us for the purpose of being used, and it should be used definitely and with conscious knowledge that it is being used for specific purposes. It will do for us whatever we wish it to do, provided we first create the thought mold. Reality as conscious mind is spirit. Reality as subjective mind is law. Reality as conscious mind is self-knowing, but the law of reality's mind, like all other laws of nature, is given to us to be used. The law of mind obeys the orders that are given it, whether we are conscious or unconscious that such orders are being given. Being entirely sensitive to our thought, and by its very nature absolutely receptive, as well as intelligent and responsive to it, and at the same time being creative, it is easy to see what a tremendous power we have at our conscious disposal. The universal mind in its subjective state is what we mean by the law of mind. The subjective medium is limitless and can do anything that we may wish it to do. It must obey the conscious thought since it has no power to reason other than deductively. This is why conscious thought has power. Power and energy are phases of mind acting as law. Mind in all its phases is some part of reality. People are some part of reality, and since reality or spirit is a complete and perfect unit, then our mind is simply the place where we individualize reality. I love that last part. Um, that where we individualize reality, which reminds me that there's one reality. One reality. We don't create our own reality. We create an expression. We create an experience. We move consciousness, which is synonymous with one reality, into expression. But we're not creating reality. We're using reality. And I think it's really behooves us to pay attention to the sentence at the bottom of the last sentence in the first paragraph on page 397. It will do for us whatever we wish it to do, provided we first create the thought mold. Now, if we read that as it doesn't do anything unless we have a thought mold, that would be correct, but it would be probably an incorrect reading of it, because such an idea would actually be based on the fallacy that there's ever a time that we lack a mental equivalent, a thought mold. And we don't. What we do is we lack awareness of our thought molds. But we don't lack a thought mold ever, because we are consciousness in form that always has a desire to express. That desire to express is the thought mold. We're mostly expressing, we are mostly moving consciousness from a place of absolute unawareness, from a place of the unconscious mind. That stuff, those beliefs that are generational, historical, passed on beliefs that are so deeply believed and pictured that we never question them. We never think about that moving into manifestation. We tend to only think about consciousness moving into manifestation when we do it intentionally. And that's not the only time it's happening. And the more what's the word I'm looking for? The more I embody that truth, that accuracy, the more intentional, the more from awareness I live. Because I don't want to manifest accidentally, right? Now, that is not to suggest that I live in a state of awareness of every thought that is operating in my subconscious. I don't. I'm not sure I can, in all fairness. But what I can do is to choose to be intentional and active and to constantly be in curiosity where I question my beliefs, where I'm even aware of the thoughts that I'm having, and then just very gently inquire, is that true? And that's the work of Byron Katie. Is that true? Is that absolutely true? Do I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that is true? And mostly it's no, I don't know. So, what do I know? And that takes me to the activity of spiritual mind treatment. Spiritual mind treatment is treating the physical mind, right? Not the physical mind, it's treating the spiritual mind. And when I heal my spiritual mind, that shows up in my physical mind. And and that may be splitting hairs. I will tell you, for me, that's helpful to address consciousness that is presented in that um, iceberg analogy that most of us are familiar with, right? That what we're aware of is above the water, but there's a whole bunch operating. There's a whole lot of thought operating below the waterline that, unless we choose to go diving deeper, we don't ever know what's operating under there because it's operating under our awareness. The waterline is our awareness, right? And so we get to be intentional to go below the waterline. Um, the law of mind obeys the orders that are given. Do we really understand that we're giving orders to law? It given it whether we are conscious or unconscious of such orders, that such orders are being given. Doesn't matter whether we're aware or not, we are still always moving consciousness into creation. Always. When we see something and we have a mental reaction that we're not even aware of, we are moving that into consciousness. We're moving consciousness into being through that mental reaction, because that mental reaction has a picture attached to it. And that's what we're moving into demonstration, even in our unawareness. The universal mind in its subjective state is what we mean by the law of mind. The only way I was able to really grasp that, because objective and subjective are used differently in by Holmes than they are in psychology that I studied. So when I change subject, when I understand what he's saying, the subjective to, in subjugation, that's the whole thing. Law operates in subjugation to mind. It doesn't have a choice. It simply acts on what it's given, when it's given it, all the time. No off switch, no filter, no place where it sends it back to be revised or revises it because it can see that this is going to go badly. Law doesn't do that. It simply acts upon what it's given and makes it so. Right? Another way to look at this whole creative process, which is what we're talking about in this reading, because sometimes it helps me to put this stuff in secular terms, is I think about it like mind, thought, desire is the research and development department. Right? It's coming up with the ideas, it's developing them into a mental picture, and then it sends it to that part of the factory that manufactures. Right? And so law is the manufacturing part. And it simply receives the work order and makes it. Doesn't question whether it's a good idea. It never sends it back to research and development for more consideration. It just reads the work order. It receives the work order and makes it. And then what is made shows up in the fulfillment or the distribution side of creation. And it is made available in this human realm. That's kind of what we're doing all the time, right? We have ideas that law receives, makes it so, and forms it, and it's distributed amongst the people. This stuff doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be laborious. But I think it is best understood in whatever way makes sense to you. Change the players, change the scenery, keep the accuracy. Because how we use it is what is going to heal this world, beginning by healing ourselves, by healing our spiritual mind. Because when we heal our spiritual mind, then we heal how we're using consciousness. And so then we begin to use consciousness in a manner that heals the whole body of creation. So it does matter. And we are empowered to be a part of the problem or part of the solution. And we're empowered by free will. We're empowered by choice in grace, which means creation didn't give us free will with a caveat to punish us if we misuse it. We're punished by misusing it, not for misusing it. And so if we don't like what we're getting, if it feels like punishment, change our thinking, change our life. change how we move consciousness, and that all healing is mental. So I invite you to take that into this time of meditation and to just listen to what the infinite as you has to share uniquely with you about this idea of spiritual mind healing, spiritual mind treatment. Here we go. one power that is one substance, that is the one substance of creation, consciousness itself, one love, one breath breathing all of life, one mind synonymous with consciousness, perfect intelligence, perfect peace, perfect wholeness, complete in and of itself. Self-existent, meaning it just simply has always been, was never created out of anything. It just simply is. And so it exists within itself as itself. Nameless, because it cannot be contained. It cannot be limited by a concept. Changeless, because there's nothing for it to change into. It already is infinite possibility. Being moved by desire into expression. And yet we know it by many, many names. God, the great mystery, Buddha, Allah, Goddess. In this moment, I know it as life, and I know it as love. I know that it is life expressing itself as me. And I am intentional to recognize it is expressing as me. I am not expressing as it. It is the I am that I am. All goes back to this one. And even as I say goes back, I recognize the fallacy of those words, that there is no back to go to, that everything is happening in this moment of now. And I allow my brain to struggle, knowing that mind, expressing as my brain, already knows the truth. And so I allow my humanness to grapple with concepts and ideas, understanding that this grappling is a divine letting go of everything that's not the truth of me. That the curiosity and the argument is simply the process of excavating everything that is covering the truth of me. Everything that is obscuring the center of my being. It is the truth of me. All of the conditioned thinking. It is simply the historical stuff of humanity that is piled up, obscuring the truth of being. And so I speak my word, claiming and affirming that we are in an amazing release party. We are in an excavation process, clearing away everything that's not the truth of humanity, clearing away the conditioned thinking, clearing away the limitations, clearing away the lies and the deception and all of the made up stuff of separation, of supremacy, of oppression, clearing away the reward punishment paradigm, clearing away all, even the foundation of separation, which simply leaves one connected creation. Indra's net, where each is an individualized gem reflecting the truth of being in each other without ever having the perspective of other. I speak my word, moving consciousness into being a world that absolutely works for all of humanity, for all of nature, for all of the cosmos, for the climate, for all the harmonious operation of one, moving itself into expression, the self knowingness of creation, alive and embodied and celebrated and lived in every expression of it. Because as everything that's not that falls away, everything that is known, is embraced, and is embodied. Where no words can be spoken. Where I meet the truth of being in the silence. Where I know that as I look into the eyes of any and every individualized expression of it, I am aware that creation is looking at creation, looking back at creation. That no matter where I am in the presence of the infinite. This self-recognition is the utopia of creation. And I claim it as so. Where there is no war, because there is no struggling for power in the recognition of one power everywhere present, expressing itself in its creation. And we are healed. And we return to an experience of our wholeness. And I celebrate. I celebrate that the word spoken is the word fulfilled instantly. That doer within the creative process that is always in subjugation to the mental picture simply acts upon it and makes it so, without question, without hesitation. And so I know that a world that works for all already is. And so I release anything and everything still alive in this human brain, in this repository of memory, in this activity of thinking that would in any way limit the full experience. The word made manifest. I let it all go. I let go of the fear. I let go of the doubt. I let go of the hesitation. I let go of all of the what ifs, if only, yes, buts. I let them all go. And that is releasing my word. It's releasing everything that restricts my word. I let it all go. And claim it is done. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amin. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.